Well, hello, everyone. This is your girl, Orjanette Cooper Bryant. I am excited today. Oh my gosh, this show is going to be the best. Okay. Um, Welcome to Talk with Ojay. You know that we test, we try the truth. I give content creators, entrepreneurs, business owners, people who have products and service the opportunity to come in here and share gems with you to help you through your growth and development and wellness. So I'm a wellness focused person, as you know, as a medical provider. And I'm excited today to bring you my special guest today, who is Erica Rivera. She is a sexologist. Now, the objective again of the Natural Nubian channel is to support local businesses and community. The reason why this is important to me, as you know, a period of time in my life, I was a life coach and I was a community advocate. And it was very important to me to share that with other people because I'm like, you know what? It takes a nonprofit, it takes a community, small businesses to come together to support and make a better community. So therefore, I bring different people in here for a reason. Now, you know my disclosure. I do not get paid for this. So because I don't get paid for it, I only ask one little thing, and that is for you to subscribe. If you subscribe, it helps me and the content creators and the business owners to actually be able to do more with their platform to market. Okay. Very important. Okay. Now, my special guest, I'm going to actually put her on the screen, and I do have to share some other information with you. Give me 1 second. Hi, Erica. How are
Hi.
you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm just doing fantastic, fabulous. Now that you are here, you are the girl, and I'm so excited about it. You know, Erica, I've been following you ever since Boss Lady and different events. I've been noticing. I said, sexologist. I said, my gosh, where she come from in Flagler County? And it's funny to me because my mentor, I think I told you this, my mentor was Gwendolyn Goldsby Grant. A lot of people know Dr. Ruth as a sexologist, but back in that time, this was a phase, a period of time where it was kind of almost taboo. But
Yes.
they actually promoted healing within individuals, and human behaviors start to change and shift through some of the things that they have done. Now, Dr. Grant, my mentor, she was a colonist for Essence. Did you know that?
I didn't know that actually.
Okay. And I'm going to tell you something else about her. She was the godmother of Whitney Houston.
Wow. I love that. What what a
Yes.
fun fact.
Yes,
Wow.
yes, she was
Yeah.
amazing. Her book was called The Best Kind of Loving. And through her book, I
Yeah.
actually learned that I had to learn how to love. Best kind of loving. Love who?
Yep.
Moi. I had to learn how to love self. And she said that this should have happened early on in my early development. She said, you have to learn to teach your young ladies how to be familiar and touch their own bodies so that they will be comfortable enough to not allow anyone else to come in there and do it, and talk to them, have those conversations, because back then sex talk was not something that was brought up.
And it's still kind of taboo today, believe it or not. Not
Mm-hmm.
as much as it was back then, but it's still something that is difficult for most people to talk about to this day, which is a big reason why I'm in this field, because I want to destigmatize the topic of sex, not just with adults like us, but our youth especially, just so that they're on that path of healthy intimacy. And like you said, being able to create boundaries because they already know their bodies. They know their bodies better than anyone else will know. So,
Absolutely. And that's the thing, familiarity of their bodies. You know, our children, and I'm going too far into the subject because I didn't even introduce you. is uh
it's an exciting topic. I get
it
it.
is it's like, oh my God, I would dig deep into it. I told one of my friends, I can't wait to talk to her. I'm nervous, but at the same time, I got so many questions. I don't know. But here's the thing. Sexologists. When we think about sexologists, we think about empowerment, intimacy, development. And I know that this is Freud talked about human behavior. He talked about a lot of things that enter the oral and the anal phase. And I'm like, when I was in college, what are you talking about? This is making sense. And they were talking about the rabbit thing. I'm like, what is this? But it all makes sense now. It's like the light just kind of went out. Like, oh,
Light bulb.
yeah, yeah. So now I'm understanding that the young adult to mature adult, those phases, we all experience some of the same things. We just don't talk about it.
All of us, all of us. And a lot of people are hush about it. And, you know, I've met people, even my age, who, even myself actually, never spoke about sex in the household, never spoke about sex, obviously, in churches, never spoke about sex really in the school system. Because at school, you know, they may teach you a little bit about STDs and kind of scare you and done, but there's no actual comprehensive like education being taught. So you kind of graduate high school getting ready for adulthood with zero knowledge on how to actually build that intimacy with another person, you know. And I just, it kind of irks me a little bit because I really, really am passionate about people getting educated early on than what people were used to back in the day, where, you know, a lot of people were in the mindset of, okay, sex is for family planning and that's it. Not a lot of people understood that sex could be something that was pleasure based.
Right.
So, you know, that's really important too.
So, with that being said, I want to introduce her formally. This is Erica Rivera. She is a sexologist. She is certified and she's very passionate about coaching and empowering women and couples. Okay. She is also exploring our sexual potentials with each client, and she helps you develop the confidence that you need to have a real nice, intimate relationship. And I have to say it like that because I'm learning that myself. Um, you know, we have to unlearn and relearn, right? And she is actually here to help support you on that and just kind of give you some tips on what services she offers, how you can get in contact with her, some of the benefits of talking to a sexologist. Hey, you know, we talk about sex, you know, let's talk about it. It's good, it's the best thing in the world. I'm just saying. This is
It
coming
really is.
this is coming from a
So,
medical provider because guess what? Our hormones are there. They're not going nowhere. I'm sorry. Some have
right.
more, some have less, but you know, you need to know how to be able to deal with those imbalances. Definitely. Go ahead and tell us a little bit
Yeah.
more about yourself. And I'm going to get off the screen while you do this, okay?
Oh, okay, sure. All right. So as she said, my name is Erica Rivera. I am a sexologist and I have been in this field for a little over a decade. I actually got into this field, like I mentioned earlier, because I grew up in a culture and in a household where we didn't really talk about sex. So by the time I graduated high school and was ready to kind of be on my own, I didn't really have the knowledge that I needed to have a healthy relationship. And thus, I started to encounter a lot of unhealthy relationships. And one of the biggest things that I'm passionate about is not just educating on healthy intimacy, but preventing unhealthy things from happening. And that includes physical, it also includes mentally. I'm a sexual assault prevention educator as well, because that's something too that certain adolescents can run into if they haven't learned how to have a healthy relationship with boundaries. So, being a sexologist really encompasses every stage of life, you know, from being, you know, a youth who's learning about puberty and, you know, certain changes with the body, all the way up until, you know, you're retiring and you've been in a relationship long term and, you know, you're 60, 70 years old. Even then, people still need to continue to be educated and continue to kind of keep up with what certain things should I be doing right now to stay healthy, sexually healthy, you know, regardless of what stage you're in. So that's something I'm also really passionate about. And these are all services that I offer in the community. So I've had parents that do bring in their youth to come speak to me if that's not a topic that the parent is well versed in. And then I've also had couples come in, new couples and couples that have been together for a long time. So a lot of people would ask, like, why would I see you if I'm in a new relationship? And I like to call it relationship maintenance. So why wait until there's a problem when you can just kind of have someone there helping you from the very start? That way, if anything arises, you're able to kind of squash it right then and there. Usually the statistic is that most couples wait, I believe it's 5 years, like they're in a rut for 5 years before seeking help. And so I try to make sure that that doesn't happen. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. That's it in a nutshell anyways, because we could go on and on for hours about what I do, but that should give you a good idea of what services I provide.
We really could. And here's the thing. I think you mentioned that 5 years they wait. It's interesting because sometimes the relationships do get a little stale.
Yes.
You've been with the same partner for a long length of time, complacency, you don't try anything different. In certain cultures, it's taboo to go talk to someone outside of your home. I did bring someone into my home. I knew there was a need and I wanted to learn how to date again. So, what I would do is every week, every Friday, I would make it, oh, this is our date time. This is me and you. We're going to date. I also brought in a counselor into the house for private sessions to have those conversations because we needed to explore who we were becoming, because I was going to age 50 and he was going to another developmental stage. So it was very complicated and frustrating for the both of us to try to figure out, okay, I understand that midlife crisis. I understand that you may want someone a little younger or youthful. I'm not going to be, what I want to say. I'm going to be understanding with that being said, because I know that the person that you are, that's not the person that I married, or it's okay. Because as I age, you think I want to sit here and just be looking at the gray hairs? No, I
Right.
really don't. I want to explore my youth. I want to feel what youth looks like. I want my skin to feel a certain way. It's just certain things that physiologically go on that I think that we just don't even try to get the answers to.
Right. I feel like a lot of people do, like, when you get that initial kind of red flag, like, oh, I noticed that's different, than how I used to handle a certain situation, or my body used to, do this and now it's doing that. Some people just kind of brush it under the rug and think it'll resolve itself.
Yes.
And that's certainly not true. Like, someone that's proactive about staying sexually healthy should be speaking to someone, and not just someone like myself, because with a sexologist, my job is basically to study human sexual behavior. So it's more on the mental health spectrum.
It is.
But that shouldn't be the only avenue that someone is using in order to stay sexually healthy. You got to also talk to some of your healthcare providers, because what if it is something physical, And so if you put too much effort into one aspect and not the other, you create that imbalance once again. So I think a lot of people just don't like to feel like they're aging. Like, I have run into people that they don't, you know what I mean? But it's like they don't want to accept it. They're like, I don't want to age, and so therefore I'm just going to ignore what's going on, and hopefully it'll disappear. But they don't realize that they're doing a disservice. You should actually be kind of embracing that, and really being in tune mentally, physically, what's going on with your body, in order to slow that process down, and not feel, because it really is a number. I've met very youthful older people, and I've met some younger people that, so it's
you're here in Palm Coast. Palm Coast is considered to be the retirement community, right? And we have couples that are like in their 50, they have been married for 50 years.
Oh yeah.
Erica, can you please tell me the benefit of them coming and have a conversation with you? Because I don't think they really quite understand.
Right. So someone who has been in a relationship for that long, yes, the relationship could become stagnant. And
Yes.
people, like, I always tell people, if you don't use it, you lose it. So that actually goes hand in hand with sexual health. So when a couple finds themselves in that rut where they haven't been intimate in a really long time, guess what? You're not going to desire it anymore. You're not going to crave that. So you have to actually make the effort to start that process of being intimate in order to crave it again. So it's kind of like, any little addiction, you have a little taste, you're going to want more. But if you completely just ignore it, your body's not going to want that anymore, and it's going to be used to that. And that's why a lot of couples end up having conflict, because they're like, well, I don't understand why he doesn't want to, or I don't understand why she doesn't want to. But then I talk to them and it's like, oh, we haven't been physically intimate in 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. And it's like, whoa, no wonder at this point your body's so used to not being intimate that it's not craving that type of intimacy anymore.
Yes.
So, my suggestion is always like, yeah, obviously, come in and talk to me. Let's see where that conflict is. And
Mhm.
then let's set up a plan to see how we can slowly build that intimacy again. Because obviously, someone who hasn't in so long isn't going to want to just jump into bed. But if we start off with holding hands, making that effort of physical touch, whether it's holding hands, hugging, cuddling, that's all considered intimacy as well. So we can always build in that aspect.
You know, Physical touch is a healer. I know that when we feel offended and we're offensive towards each other, it changes the dynamics of a relationship. Feelings get hurt, pride steps in the way, and people just shut down. I cannot love someone who has said these damaging, detrimental things to me. It's almost as though I'm living in a post traumatic, stressful situation because we've argued, we didn't get along, we just can't love each other anymore. And whatever reason, they stay, different reasons. And I have so much passion for the longevity, the fact that they stayed together. But what I can't quite comprehend is not being happy or not having that self actualization to the point where you validate me or make me feel whole again. And being intimate and developing that relationship, we need to feed on each other, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And yeah, so with that type of situation too, is if I'm sitting down with someone, you know, we have to figure out, we have to differentiate. Are we not, are we having conflict that's abusive? Because some people stay for the wrong reasons.
Yes, true.
Or am I staying because, you're committed, you're loyal? This is because most people, if it's a marriage, they're dedicated to making it work, which I like that dedication, as long
Mhm,
as it's not a toxic dedication to that person,
mhm.
because yes, obviously I'm going to do my best, to make that relationship work. I never want to see someone come in and say, okay, well, this didn't work, so I'm going to get a divorce. No, like, obviously, I would love to see couples really stick it out, because that's what a marriage is about. But, we have to figure out, is this an abusive situation, or are they just in a rut? Do they just need to focus a little bit more on their communication, or maybe their love languages? A lot of times people do not love others the way they want to be loved. They love others the way they like to be loved, and then there's conflict there. So
You,
that's a fine line when I sit down with couples or with someone who may be staying too long. We got to figure out, is this a healthy relationship that you're in, that you're fighting for, or is it unhealthy and maybe you should be, distancing yourself? So that also becomes very difficult, and that's a long term situation that I usually have to sit down
Work on them for
and
a
work
while.
on. Yeah.
And that's something that I think understanding what a healthy relationship looks like, that's very difficult, because we think and assume, well, you go to church, you both do the right things on this end, and you have nothing in common. You've had kids, but you really don't. And is your relationship healthy? And love language, spending time,
Mhm.
is that the answer? Or physical touch? I mean, what is it?
Right.
There's so many different aspects of sexologists that I think that people just do not understand. And I have to ask you this question. So you went to school, you went to college, right? And you want to know more about medicine. We talked about that, but you
Yeah.
this aspect of it, because we all go through this. Like in college, I was like, I don't know what I really like. I like pediatrics actually. When I was in college, I was like, I'm gonna be a trauma specialist, pediatric trauma specialist. That's what I was gonna be.
See, that's
But
great because I wanted to be in the emergency room originally when I was young. I wanted to be an ER physician and deal with that type of trauma.
what
So
made you decide to take this uh,
So, what made
career?
me decide to take this route is I went through some traumas myself that I don't mind being publicly open about. So,
Okay.
when I was 17, I ended up going through a sexual trauma that's actually how I lost my virginity, was through a trauma like that. And that really affected me heavily at that age because 17, you're very impressionable. I mean, that would affect anyone, honestly. But not having the knowledge, sex health knowledge, then going through, a rape, and that being my first experience and introduction to sex, like it was just really crazy. So as I got older and I started to try to figure out where I wanted to be, I did want to be an ER physician. I actually am still a certified EMT because I ended up wanting to drive the ambulances. Um, but going through that, I was like, you know what? I think, especially in Palm Coast, because I moved here in 2003 and there wasn't a whole lot going on and not a lot of resources for youth. So that's really what made me go into this field is I'm like, there's probably other teenagers going through this and we don't have resources in this area. Orlando, Jacksonville, there's populated areas that may have like easier resources to get to, but I found this like newfound passion to like really work with people, especially people that have gone through trauma. That's my specialty, that's my passion, is to work with people who have been through trauma, who want to build healthy intimate lives, not only with their partners but with themselves, because sometimes that's a lifelong process. We're constantly healing, and constantly having to deal with certain memories. I mean, that just doesn't go away. Some people go to counselors and they ask, okay, when do I stop feeling this way? Maybe never. It's you just there's ways to cope with it in a healthy manner. And I just don't want anyone to feel the way I did at that time where I didn't have anyone to turn to, and I want to be that person for other people. So
I love that. I love that. And I have to take back people. I got so involved with the conversation with Erica, I didn't even introduce myself. Ha
I
ha.
know we just like jumped right into it. Didn't introduce me, didn't introduce yourself.
Well, of course, my name is Orjanette Cooper Bryan. I'm the host of Talk with Ojay. I am a 6-time published author. My last book was Radical Woman, where I talk about some of the challenges that I experienced as a young adult and how I actually overcame those challenges to become the healthcare provider that I am today. I'm a board certified family nurse practitioner. I am the owner of Vita Lift Infusion, where I focus on obesity, anti-aging, longevity focused care through vitamin supplementation. Um, I am a person who supports healing internally, externally. I am a hospice nurse. So, you can't take away the mind, spirit, body, and soul. You can't take it away. All of them comes together. That's Erica was talking to me behind the scenes about the different aspects of counseling, sexologists, therapists, coaches, life coach, you know, everybody has a role. Ministers, you know, spiritual healers, you know, different, everybody has a role. And I don't want anyone to take away here that, oh, well, if I see this one, I don't have to see that. That's not true. It's not true. There's a benefit in every aspect of it. The thing that Erica has actually studied was those stages of development and how she can make a better self-actualized person in you. Now, you can't do this if you're not intimate with yourself and true to yourself, true to your existence, and to the fact that sometimes we go after the things that we don't really need or deserve. But she can help you figure that out. I know I was told when I went to a session at a young age at 12 that I was always going to be a victim. Counselor told me that. She said,
Whoa.
"You're always going to be a victim." And I was like, nah. She said, "You're never going to develop healthy relationships." This is what was told to me. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I remember my first marriage, and I'm just going to put it out here. Most people don't know this. My first husband was a bodybuilder, professional bodybuilder, and a stripper. Yes, I'm putting it on here so everybody knows. But no, he was, that was him.
Mhm.
And I thought we had a great, healthy relationship, which in some ways we did, in some ways we didn't. But I say that to say you just don't know quite where you are mentally that may do something that may stir up something negative in that partner that you have. And I say that because I'm guilty of it, because I remember her saying, "You'll never have a healthy relationship." And I remember I did something in that relationship that I really wish to God today that I'd never done it, but it was something that hit me. It's like a flashback. I had a moment where it just hit me and I was like, oh my God, I feel like I'm a victim again. And in my healthy relationship, I took it out on him. And he was patient enough to say, no, 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 no. This is not going to happen and it won't happen again. It happened once, but it will never happen again. But he
Did you
had,
ever did you ever think of that thought like throughout your relationship, that thought when you were 12? Like, and did you ever excuse certain things you did because you're like, well, this is what she told me,
I
you
did.
know?
But he was hurt by it because he felt like he was a victim at that point because I was a victim. And when I saw his face and I saw how he looked about it, I felt like, oh my God, I would never want to ever do this to anybody again. I would never want to make them that same person that hurt me.
Right.
Learning to trust takes time, and I'm still not there. I'm trying my best to learn how to trust. It's not very easy, but
Well,
I'm okay. Go ahead.
especially yeah, if you experience a trauma, anyone who has experienced trauma, again, I feel like that's a lifelong process, the trusting. There's certain people that come into your life that it's going to be a little easier to trust them than others, and it's just kind of this cautious, like, proceed with caution sort of situation. But that's perfectly normal because of what we have gone through. I still have those moments myself, even though I'm a sexologist and I'm on this side of the table helping other couples. There are times that I'm not perfect, and I'm a real person too. I've been through my own trauma, so therefore certain things that maybe my clients have experienced as triggers, guess what, I go through the same thing, and it's something that I also have to continue to heal from. And but I also feel like that's a good thing because it makes me relate to my clients a little bit better. When I sit down with
Yes.
someone, I understand exactly what they're going through because I've been there,
Yes.
both on a domestic violence aspect and sexual assault. Sometimes they go hand in hand. And, I'm, it's crazy to say it this way, but it's almost like I'm blessed to have had certain negative experiences in order to help the people that I come in contact with every day.
It's very
So,
true. I want to say thank you because we have some people. We're actually going to end up going over time a little
oh
bit.
wow, okay.
That's okay. But we have some people who have thumbs up, They like the topic. They like what we're talking about. So that's a good thing. I had to bring that out. I want to go ahead and kind of sum things up because we had a beautiful conversation here
We
today.
did.
Uh, you have an event coming up April the 27th. Is that
27th.
correct?
Yes. So I am putting together our first annual Dollars for Denim campaign here in Flagler County. There is a 501c3 called Peace Over Violence that I absolutely adore. I'm a big supporter of theirs. They have a very similar mission to mine where they, all the funds that they get goes towards sexual assault prevention education. And I figured, we could raise some money here in Flagler County. So we're going to have an event on the 27th at 6 p.m. where I will be speaking. And then we're having a catered reception at Vita directly afterwards. So I'm obviously looking for sponsors and donors, and all that money will 100% of the proceeds will go towards that cause.
Wonderful,
Yeah.
wonderful.
And it's for Denim Day. So, and the reason why it's called Denim Day is because in the 90s, when the Denim Day campaign got created, it was because of an actual rape conviction that got overturned by the Italian Supreme Court. There was a young lady who was 18. She got raped by her driving instructor and had worn tight jeans. So her case was overturned because they decided that she must have had help taking them off, therefore giving consent. Ridiculous. Yeah. So that's how Denim Day started. And now this Dollars for Denim campaign that I'm doing, I'm asking that everyone wear denim in solidarity with that particular victim. But, it really is to support all survivors as a whole.
Okay. Now you also have some other upcoming seminars, and I'm just going to kind of post that link too. There's so many seminars that I noticed that the month of April, May, you have all kind of stuff. Talk with Erica, what's going on. You want to share that?
Sure. So, excuse me. So in addition to the Denim Day campaign, in May, all right, let me see if I can get these dates straight because there are a lot, like you said. Yeah. So in May, I'll be doing creating a gender safe workplace discussion. So because part of what I do is to make sure that we are preventing any type of workplace harassment, not just in the workplace, but in the schools. And then the following month, so that's going to be June, I'm going to do a building healthy intimacy workshop for our LGBT community.
Because you said something about you had one that I remember you talking about for age specific, right?
Yeah, that's coming up after the LGBT one.
So when is that one? That's
going to be July. So
that's not until July.
That's not until July. I mean, I could
be in June.
If somebody wants to, host me, I'd be happy to do it sooner. These are just some talks that I put together, but obviously, if an organization wants to pull me in for a specific talk, I'm always, willing to do that.
I think that I might have to make that happen because we talked about those ages, the young adult, and we also talked about the elderly, and we want you said you wanted to pull them in, and each person, even those that are going through their gender identity issues and everything, you want to bring people where they are and kind of connect with them and help them to feel better. I mean, oh my God, stuff goes down.
The way that I deal with that type of workshop is that I'll do a workshop for singles on one day, a workshop for couples, and then we break off into discussion groups according to age, because we all have different needs, different circumstances that we're going through. So I typically do a discussion for 18 to 20s, and then we have our 30 to 40, which is like our professional age, and then 50s and so on is, that's a separate discussion as well. So yeah, the one that I have set up right now is for July. It's a week-long process because Monday, Tuesday is the actual seminar, and then, each day with a discussion. But like I mentioned, obviously if somebody wanted to host me, we can obviously do that sooner.
Like I said, I might have to do that because I'm ready to have my group here where we'll start talking about certain conversations that make us feel comfortable as women, because that's important. Now, Erica, you can be reached how?
So I am on
Oh,
social media as the Erica Rivera. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I also have a Patreon, which is also patreon.com/the Erica Rivera. So very simple, same username for all the things.
right. And you're also on LinkedIn.
I am on LinkedIn. So on LinkedIn, you can actually find my media kit in addition to a sheet that will describe each workshop and talk that I'm able to provide. So if anyone's interested in that, that's all on LinkedIn as well.
Erica, this show has been amazing. I mean, you were edifying for me. And what happy First Friday to everyone, and happy Resurrection Sunday, by the way.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Erica, for taking your time out of your busy schedule, because this is a holiday weekend. I mean, a lot of people are probably, I know people may or may not get on this right here live, but however, they can do the replay and go back to it at another date or time. And that way they don't lose any of this information.
Right, right. Yeah, I can't wait to share it. I'm sure that there are people out there that need to hear the conversation we had today. And,
Mhm.
hopefully it'll give them hope that, hey, there are other people out there going through what I'm going through. And it's totally normal. That's the thing. We have to normalize that it's okay to like you said, to not be okay.
Yeah.
So, and we're here to help, both myself and OJ. We are both here to help. So
Yes.
yeah, I'm looking forward to, getting connected with whoever watches this video.
All right. All right. So we guys, we share a lot of similarities, and that is a wonderful thing. And I thank Erica again because she has done a phenomenal job, sharing her information about who she is, how she can be reached. And I didn't put the contact phone number on there, and I probably should have. Erica, well, did you want to put a number thing?
Yeah, I can do that. So my business line is 386
Mhm.
356 3633.
Okay. I'm going to share it. Okay. As a banner. Give me one
Okay.
second. And that way they can go ahead and make contact with you. Did I type it correctly? I know I didn't put
You
those
did.
stats in there, but at least it'll be on here and they can reach out to you and have a call.
Yes.
You
And it
know.
is a textable number as well. So text or call, because I know some people are, uncomfortable with phone calls, and I understand that.
All right. Wonderful. So I thank you again for your time, and I want you to enjoy yourself this weekend. I think I'm a.
Thank you.
Should I get out of the house? All right. So you enjoy yourself. Thank you again,
Thank
Erica.
you. And happy Resurrection, happy Good Friday, all the things. Have a wonderful weekend. Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate
Oh,
it.
my pleasure. All right.